I always say first rounds tell you a lot about the nature and story of a fight. For now, for a quick analysis, or hopefully a quick analysis, let's look at some foundational patterns that shape this fight throughout its evolution. Hit that like button for me. Tell me your thoughts on this fight. Is it as good as their father's fights? I think so. Let's talk science. They both come out tense, ready to react and ready to act. Eubank is basically going to send a message immediately telling him to back up, get out of my personal space. Now, Benn is answering back, trying to immediately close the distance and get into his space. And you see Eubank answering with a lead hand hook off the jab. And then he throws that jab and then he throws that left hook as he's backing up. Now, the way he's throwing and working off that lead hand with that arm lowered, it has some advantages to it, but it obviously has some defensive disadvantages that rear their head throughout the fight. Now, at this point, Benn is still trying to establish his presence and hurt Chris early on to set the tone, but his hastiness is showing in his body language, causing him to telegraph this leaping left hook. Now, you see he kind of like level changes a little bit. He kind of slips, actually, not necessarily a level change, and then he tries to jump in. And Chris responds accordingly by getting his head off the center line and trying to throw that right hand, but they both miss. Benn is still desperate to prove a point, trying to establish himself as a threat, so he's going to level change, and he's going to step in with that right hand. But the level change itself is enough of a telegraph for Chris to see it. Now, Conor is super fast. Conor Benn is very fast, but if you're telegraphing, it looks like you're in slow motion anyways, because he sees what you're about to do before you do it, and that's why he's able to get that jab and simultaneously get underneath the right hand. And so Benn is struggling early on to kind of get through the vision, range control, and timing of Chris Eubank. Now, immediately after they break from the clinch, there's a little bit of a break in the rhythm, and Eubank uses that to his advantage to surprise counter Benn and sneak in the right hand. Benn is going to jump in with another right hand. Now, Chris sees it again. He sees it before he throws it. That's why he's already turning around to the side, getting out of the way of the right hand to throw his left hook. Now, that counter is one of the most dangerous counters in boxing, probably the most dangerous. There's a lot of people that got knocked out throwing that left hook counter to the right hand, but Chris saw it enough to where he could just slide out of the way with his feet. But later on, that will get him into trouble. Now, Eubank is starting to get a feel for Conor Benn's rhythm, and he's trying to time when Conor Benn leans over that lead foot and that lead knee. So that jab is going to disrupt his rhythm, and that's going to become very important as the fight progresses. He kind of backs him up right there with the jab. As the early hectic pace is slowing down due to Chris's range control, vision, jab, and timing, Benn is starting to realize that he can't just force shots. So instead, he's trying to establish a foundation. So he likes the level change entry a lot. Lowers his head down to the level of Chris's chest, and he's going to throw a lot of shots from that position. Takes a big step in, but this time he's throwing a jab to the chest, to the body of Chris. But regardless, it's a way for him to enter into range and start setting up other shots. And also the jab to the body can lower the guard and open up shots over top. It should be noted that between punches, Conor Benn is making a lot of big movements, from deep ducks like this, jumping back, jumping all over the place, overly twitchy, which in general, the way he's doing it, it'll impact his gas tank in the middle rounds. And those moments in between punches start to become far less active for him. Now, Eubank isn't the only one, making adjustments and trying to find openings. Benn is also trying to time Eubank's jab, and he's going to wait for that jab to come out, and he's going to try and come over top of that lead shoulder. But Chris actually does a good job of smothering the shot and getting inside of it so that the shot goes around and above him rather than landing clean over that shoulder. Now, this is actually a dangerous situation for Eubank, because you see how he's already loading up on that left hook. He sees the level change, and to him, that's an indication that Conor Benn is about to attack. And he's right. He is about to attack, but that counter left hook of his leaves him open a lot of times. And although it doesn't land super clean, the left hook exchange will become important later on, because Eubank will get hurt in a similar situation to this. And immediately after they both trade left hooks, they both reset, but Conor does a good job of breaking that rhythm by immediately jumping in with a right hand. And he catches Chris off guard, and he also kind of threw up his lead hand just a little bit. You see, right before he throws the right hand, that lead hand goes up, and that kind of could serve potentially as a feint, intentionally or unintentionally, but regardless, The right hand comes through, surprises Chris, lands as he's trying to pull out of the way. Benn established his presence, and Eubank is trying to stamp out those flames. He's highly reactive to the level changes. As soon as Benn wants to get lower the level of his head, Eubank is going to be ready to meet him with a jab. And that's kind of like how we said earlier, when he's getting that weight over that lead foot, Eubank is also jabbing him. So Eubank is becoming more and more reactive to these small moments where there's not like big exchanges, but it's space in between where Eubank is working that jab and disrupting Conor Benn, and you see Conor have to reset, so he's disrupting him with the jab. Now Benn starts to see more consistent success when he's not just relying on his speed, but he's setting it up with feints. So a jab feint into a actual secondary jab, so kind of like a double jab, and then he can build off of that. But there he's able to land a jab, so now he's starting to land clean shots to the head by setting him up with feints. Then he can start to build off of that by throwing power shots behind what we just saw, which was the double jab. But because it's a double jab, it gives him leeway to set up the right hand. But Eubank just barely escapes that. He gets like grazed on the ear, but he barely escapes that right hand. Eubank is also making small adjustments to Conor as well. It's not just that he's throwing the jab and the left hook when he sees Conor level change. It's also that now he's going to start following him on the way out, because we saw when Eubank catches him with the jab, or sometimes it doesn't even have to land, it'll cause Conor Benn to back up and reset. And so if Eubank knows that, then he can follow him on the exit and step into another jab and upset him even more, disrupt him even more. The entries from Conor Benn, the jabs from Chris Eubank, the left hook trades and exchanges, the 1-2 from Conor Benn, all of these things become crucial as the fight progresses. Now, for now, I should say, Lord, that's all, Fight Scientists. Maybe I'll go more in depth a little later. We'll see. If you like this analysis, you should check out the Roberto Duran versus Sugar Ray Leonard, which is an ongoing series. Only got 2 rounds so far, but we'll go over time. And it's even more in depth than this. But that's all. I'm out.